Guten Tag, mein Generals. It is Leipzig time, and here is a very quick rules primer, which will provide most of the rules you will need to know. When you arrive, you'll receive 46 and a quick reference sheet, which has a marking here, because we're also going to use these for the movement. That is 1D, that is 2D, the full sheet. And on the back it's got a list of all the forces that will be involved, still being finalised. So the turn has 4 parts: command, shooting, movement and melee. Command phase, you roll for each of your generals and you get their command rating or less, which we do. If they fail, you turn them to the rear like that, and your command holds. So you can't do anything except change facing or formation, and cavalry can do a normal move but not charge. But he passed. Next is shooting. So all units just fire straight ahead at whatever's in front of them, with the exception that artillery, which makes a morale test successfully. So the average morale is 3, so roll 3 or less, can pick a target within 45 degrees of straight ahead and shoot at that. So shooting is just rolling 1 dice per base, whatever is in front of it, provided you're in range, which for infantry is 1D, which they are, and canister range is also 1D. Effective range for artillery is 2D, 2 distances, so the full sheet, and long range is 3D. So let's do the shooting. We've got 2 bases shooting at that unit, needing 5s, and they get 1 hit. When you do a hit, you stagger a base back like that. Once a unit has taken 3 hits like that, it's got no more bases to stagger except its command base, and you start each hit after that, you start rolling to try and beat its morale. If you beat its morale, it breaks and it's removed from the game. So that was 1 hit on that Austrian unit. We've got 2 bases at the next Austrian unit, nothing. And we've got the artillery here shooting at the Landwehr. So artillery in close range rolls 2 dice per base, so they're firing canister, and they get 2 more hits. Charges and moves, with charges happening first. Here we decide that the cavalry will charge the Landwehr, so they move straight ahead up to 2D, which is their charge distance, and contact them. And when you charge infantry, you roll a dice, minimum 1 dice, and 1 dice per disordered base. So they've taken 3 hits, so you roll 3 dice, like that, and you need to beat the infantry's morale +1 or morale +2 if they're in an attack column. And you need to beat their morale on any of the dice. So here we have Landwehr, which are usually morale 3, but once they've taken half their hits, they're down to morale 2. So morale 2 +2, 4 for attack column. There are 2 5s there, even 1 5 would be enough to catch that infantry out of square. So that infantry is caught out of square. If you did not catch them out of square, then they form square, which is of course much better against cavalry. Okay. After charge moves, you do all other moves. You cannot move if you have fired unless you're horse artillery. And movements rates are 1D for infantry and foot artillery, 2D for cavalry and horse artillery. And that's movement and charging. Now, if you go straight ahead within 2 base widths, either side of straight ahead, then you get to add a full 2D to your move. The cavalry in melee, you always roll 4 dice no matter what unit you are, and like so. So this is the result we got there. So in general, 6s are hits from the attacker on the defender, and 1s are hits from the defender on the attacker. 2s and 5s is the defender or the attacker, respectively, hits the enemy if they're in the right formation versus the right sort of target. And it's defined here on this sheet what that is. On a 3, the highest morale hits, which in this instance is these dragoons. That's 3 hits so far on the infantry, and a 4 is that heavier cavalry hits lighter cavalry, so that doesn't apply. So that's 3 hits on the infantry. They only needed 1 to destroy them, so they are routed, broken, gone. We make a test fatigue check, a morale check for the dragoons, and we rolled a 3, which is equal to or less than morale, so they don't take a hit themselves. And now they would have the opportunity of charging straight ahead or retiring. Let's do an Austrian turn. So we roll for the commander, they're okay. And they are going to shoot with that attack column, getting 6s rather than 5s because they're in an attack column, and they miss. And just for the sake of seeing what happens, we're going to charge that attack column into the air. So you can only charge 1 unit per facing of the defender, so you can't charge 2 attack columns into that line there. Okay, so that's all the moves from the Austrians, and we're going to roll that combat and see what happens. So there is a 1 and a 2, which is a hit from the line against the attack column. There is a 4 and a 5, so the 5 is a hit from the attack column on the line, and the 4 is nothing. So the column takes 2 hits, the line takes 1 hit. The column has taken more hits, so it has to retreat and survive a morale test, which it does. So it will back off 1 to 2D, like so. And that's the result of that attack. Now, just to go back a second there, the only reason that 5 hit is because the attack column was just as ordered as the line. If it had taken a hit and had less ordered bases than the line, then the 5 would not have hit. The last important thing in melee, we'll put that back there just to illustrate this, is what happens if you have a threatened flank. So let's say this cavalry was in a position like this, which would mean if it was the cavalry's own turn, they would be entitled to do a legal charge from that position into the flank of that unit, because charge is 45 degrees of straight ahead, which they are. So in this instance, the attacker, so they would take 2 hits from the line. The 3 is the highest morale, which is nothing. The 6 is a hit on the line, but because they have a threatened flank, they have to re-roll 1 hit. So they'd re-roll that. 2, which is another hit on them. So you need to protect your flanks. If you are charged in the flank like that, that's very bad. So this cavalry would re-roll all its misses. Okay, so that is basically the rules, I believe. And of course there are some little modifiers here and there, but that's the basic system.